Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Okay. Hello, everyone. Officially welcome. Today, you're listening to a member of the human species on June 20th, 1951 p.m. in Toronto, Canada. Speak to you. And so, I am very proud of what I am communicating now. It is originated from the depths of my own discovery of this world. And it is the realization, the magnificent, the most fascinating realization, that one of the most fascinating, that I am being my future self's memory right now. In the same ways, yesterday is being today's memory. That means most human beings, when you look at it, it's a world, and we identify with the past to present. So if I come and ask you, who are you? You've been raised to kind of give me an answer based on from the past to the present. But it's very rare to see this, but imagine if somebody asks you, who are you? And you had to give an answer from the present to the future. It would feel different. I am telling you, you as a human being are subjectively valuing yourself based on reference points in the past. And in some sense, due to the comparison of where you are now, emotions arise. Emotions are always like two worlds being compared. We are 8 billion human beings on Earth. And if we started identifying with our future, it would be a completely different vibe to life. I am telling you something very rare, that out of 8 billion human beings, maybe you're gonna be the other human who managed to see that the future is waiting for you. It is like some spiritual people, you can kind of see how much egotism is involved. Where it's as if they only think about past lives. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow human species, it is weird that we're all here. It is weird that like 8 billion soldiers that find themselves on a battlefield dressed in uniform, we're all dressed in the human uniform. And there is something very significant about how life has been simulated, and how life is in some sense the original awareness to multiple simulations at the same time. that who you really are is a question mark, and where your species shall go is a question mark. And now more than ever, life calls upon you to emerge as a member of your species, as a declaration of the might of humanity's legacy. And so hear it from someone who's a Muslim futurist. I'm Muslim because there is a system admin beyond the world room, and I'm a futurist because I noticed everybody's working for their future self. You're living for your future self. Everyone is, and based on its access, expected access, and or denial in some sense, whether it happens or not, you get emotional. More and more as the days go by, I realize what the human being is. It is a moment of moments, or it is a moment blessed to be able to be aware of multiple moments. And really what reality is a performance of all that exists. And it's all about awareness. That means right now I'm sitting in my car thinking I'm alone giving this talk, okay? And on YouTube, it shows like 2 viewers, all right? Now, in my mind right now, my energy levels are based on this context. But imagine suddenly somebody said, hey, Mr. Within, when you give a lecture, all the archetypes, all the souls of the past are listening to you. And I would get a bit nervous. And then they'd be like, everybody in the present is listening to you. And I'd get a bit more nervous. And then in some sense, they would be like, yo, all the unborn future generations are listening to you right now. And I'll get like super nervous. And then they'll be like, you won't even believe it. The higher planes, the angels, mods, they're all listening to you as well. And I'll be like, oh my God, and then they'll be like, that's right. And even God, the system admin, the original power of being that is flawless and guides the simulated flaw, then my nervousness will go away because the ultimate audience is there. And I ask myself, why am I existing in this moment? And it is to some degree participate in manifestation. That means, why have these elements come into my command? That means if my body is made of cells, if it's made of particles, if it's made of atoms, if it is made of stardust, that belongs to God knows who? So in some sense right now, I'm not a general of an army, but I am a command center for every cell and aspect of my manifest existence. My body. And so it's funny because we've moved past the era of war, and in some sense, we've been raised on movies of war. As a man, you cannot avoid studying the warrior archetype. And what you discover is that power is not always based on the past. Power arises when there is anything important. So that means it's as if you might be the laziest, shy, ignorant person. And then they're like, yo man, the species might go extinct. These nations, leaders of nations are out of control. Whoa. And it's as if what the future deserves commands you to rise. That means it's very strange. I don't have a commander. Of course, I believe all manifestation, all creation serves the system admin. That means I am. If they tell me, do you have a Lord? Do you serve a Lord? I'll be like, yes. But if they're like, what does that Lord look like? I'll be like, there's no way I can explain to you that which has no partner in the simulated. For that which has a beginning and an end, that does not have a beginning and end is unfathomable. As we go through the infinite regress of what caused the first cause, we come to the realization that what moved the first domino was not a domino, and the world is wrapped in mystery. And so at some point you're going to realize the species is simulating meaning. What is meaning? What is even truth? Have we thought about that truth is in some sense an access to reality that has value in accordance to what you consider yourself to be. You know, it's as if the person wants greatness, but they're like, yo, man, I don't. They're like, yo, do you want greatness? Yes. Are you great? No. And they're like, yo, there's a confusion here. Because at some point in life, this is my firm belief, values will emerge that are way more important, and you begin to see you are conscious attention within a civilizational project. We're reaching that era where archetypes to the humans are arising of greater responsibility levels. We are becoming more and more responsible for our species. Now, the whole point of it is the future. And I will say this. Let's go back to the significance of how right now, if I tell you, remember who you were like 10 years ago, okay? You can remember your past. So right now, you are the future self of your memories. And you move that memory. So right now, in the present, I'm assuming the present is the past of the future. So if they're like, yo man, did you have a past self? I'll be like, yeah. You know, and if they're like, can you know your future self? And I'll be like, I can know it if I simply act as its memories. It's like every decision we make is shaping our future self's memory. The memories of our future self. Now the question is, how important is our decision and what is our future self? Theologically, everything in manifestation returns to the original power. So everything simulated returns to the original, God. So the future self of everyone is of the whole simulated event is a return to the original state. So the future self of everybody is the original being in some sense, or to meet the original being. And I'm saying like it's kind of strange because the importance of our decisions is not just limited to the human scope. Okay, so right now, for example, every word I'm saying, every movement I'm making, it's in some sense, whether I like it or not, being a memory for my future self. Now the question is, how can I contact my future self? Or if my future self wanted to contact me, what would that be like? Right? And I've come to the realization that if in the present I imagine the future self, anything I imagine I'm imagining myself, you know, driving a Bugatti in the future. Now my future self, the only way it can contact its past self is if the past self considers the future self. You know what that means? That means, imagine in your past, you were aware of your future. Or let me say it this way, it's like remembering your future. So, what am I capable What sort of relationship or interaction am I capable to have with my past self as a present self? I can remember who I was. I can remember by like, the perception from my eyes. I can remember the feeling. I can remember, let's say, certain abstract events. And ultimately, I can remember how it felt like. I can remember how it felt like being me, like 10 years ago. So if my future self was remembering, like from 10 years in the future, was remembering how I felt now, it's as if my awareness in the present leads to my decisions that shape the memories of my future self. Now, if my future self is existing right now, let's say, hypothetically, if I am aware of the present, if I am aware, just like how I am aware of a memory, if I am aware of the present right now, like a memory, if I can make the present feel like a memory, it's as if I am experiencing a moment of a common denominator moment of awareness with my future self. I don't know how to explain it really, but it is 100% true that we are being, I am like, everybody's being a memory of they're being the past self to their future self right now. That means the present is the past of the future as we fathom, because the world changes and so does the self. What kind of lives are we living as human beings? What sort of relationship do we have with time? It is fair to say that the body is in time, but the mind that generates the idea of time, it's very strange to say that the mind is in time. And in some sense, there is a deeper dimension of access to human intelligence where you're in awareness to your body and your life force at the same time. So in some sense, you're aware of your form of life, and you're aware how you're a force in life, and you in some sense wonder about what is motivating the true actions of an intelligent being. And it is truly the search for true intelligence. I believe everybody wonders about the depth of reality. We understand it's too big, too complex, too uncharted, and at some point we have to select a story of meaning and live. But in reality, it is a changing event, and it's all about how much faster our inner lives are compared to our outer lives. And now we're reaching a time in history where the mighty revolution is in some sense an internal shift from nationalism to speciesism. You need to feel you're a member of the species before stories can change who you are. So for me right now, I care for humanity. I care for humanity's future self. I care for the future of my species. And right now, the way everybody's living in exactly this moment in time is like being the past memory of a species. So we are right now being a memory that will go on to influence the species. You know how like words are human communication? Sometimes I look at the human being and I'm like, this is something the world is communicating. But then I wonder, what is the world a communication of? And eventually you reach the edge of the world room. When reality is a simulation, what can you do? It's like you're in a designed world. You didn't design it. There's an awareness to how objects and subjects have been changing and how we, in some sense, simulate human personality through them. The world has been changing in front of our eyes and behind our eyes. And ultimately, it goes towards the discovery of the original value in life. You see, what is this journey in time? Why has the human species categorized it as past, present, future? And in some sense, why are we as a being influenced by abstract events in our decision making? The cool thing about being a human being is that our limitations are clues to why we've been designed. It's such an intense thing to wonder about, like, what is the value of life? And to even wonder about, what does it really mean? What does it mean that we're alive? What does it mean that we're aware? There's an awareness to a world. What does it mean that there's intelligence? What does it mean that attention can specialize, can zoom in? Like, we can zoom in, zoom out, and in the same way the planet needs to have a tilt, I think every being needs to have a sort of tilt of meaning. Or let me say it, it's like every being has a sort of axis of meaning. You know what's strange? From the present, I can remember yesterday's memory, but I can also visualize variations to it. So right now, it's like physically I'm being like, let's say things are happening in one version, but if I'm right now being the memory of my future self, if my future self remembers its memory, it can also probabilize its memory, right? It's as if like to have journeyed truly in this life as a human being alive in 2025, I had to make a decision that should I will I go forward giving more attention to my past or the future? And so it's another way of saying, would you rather want reality to loop, or do you want new dimensions to be accessed for new strength to be restored? The future self of, something the future self of every ethical person has said. Keep going and go forth in this world, expanding your awareness. Do you know that means to be a conqueror? One doesn't have to be a conqueror externally. As Lao Tzu said, to conquer yourself is true power. To begin to realize that how you value yourself will suggest how you value your species, and how you value your species will suggest how you will treat the world, and how you treat the world suggests how significant it was. For eventually it all returns to the system admin, and as human beings realize in the future that a higher power has always been here, in some sense the collaborative effort of lower level beings with higher level beings. And with the highest leveled being, Islam is kind of saying go to the system admin instead of the moderators. So for me, it's honestly one axis of life is how simulated is it, how original is it? Another axis of life is like how much is it based on the past, how much is it based on the future? And for me, I'm like, okay, stranded on this cosmic galaxy where stories act like they know us. We must, as a species, wonder about the depths of this world. That means it's not just the surface of the ocean. It's not just the ocean that has a depth. Existence has a depth of how it's here. And 8 billion souls have arrived in their, not Iron Man suits, in their Carbon Man suits. Kind of like we're, our human biology is our position. We are being human in a world. What can I say? I've seen my past, and I'm seeing the present to some degree, and the future is left. We survive to enter the future. We work to maintain the future. So it is obvious all of us are living for the future. But the challenge is, how much can we imagine the future, or a better way of saying that, how much access does the human species have to the future? Now, something remarkable is that behind your eyes, you have access to the future. You can imagine flying cars. You can imagine spaceships. So your mind has access to the future, or to probabilities of the future. And yet the present, there is the delay of the follow-up. So it's very obvious that the most advanced version of a human being is a human being that is responsible for its future. But its future doesn't just belong to it. Its future is the legacy of the human species. The legacy of the human species is how great we were present in the world, and then how much we notice the system admin. It's like, out of all the paths, there's the path of fascination. Fascination, there's something divine about it. It leads you to the divine. To be truly fascinated about something, it's like giving yourself an opportunity to understand something before anything you stand under defines you. You have to kind of look at life and ask yourself, how much are you inputting into this, and what is it before you input anything? And once you look at it and see what it is before you input anything, you begin to see the significance of how you move. It doesn't just animate your body, it animates the meaning your body has as well. And now the whole point of it is that behind our eyes, the mind is living faster than the body. And hopefully we can stabilize this speed through global human ethics councils. But if our mind keeps living faster than our body, there will come a time where information is being faster than the body can react to it. We'll live faster than our body, and our minds will live faster than our bodies in the future, possibly. So we have to be very aware of like what states we have access to as we're being aware of it. Anyways, guys, the whole point of it is that you're being your future self's memory, which is kind of like proving that the future self exists. Its memories exist now. That means it's like my future self, like I haven't become it yet, but at the same time, I am already its memories. And therefore, I can relate to it. I believe there's something very important, in the same way that this soul within a simulation wants to return to the original state. wants to return to the original being. In the same way, you need to remember you have always been part of a species. The honor of humanity is God's mercy of creating us with great potential. That's the point. We were God's greatest creation, actually, and all existence was commanded to bow to it. And now this creation is being tested in regards to how much it believes it treats the simulation as the original, or if it remembers the original beyond the simulation. Anyways, reality is fascinating, and let us not forget it. Thank you for listening. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.